Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the Canada DevOps Summit 2021. I'm very happy to be here. Today, I'll be speaking about how do we implement site reliability engineering. So as we are all aware, SRE is a fundamental capability for operational excellence, for operational resilience, and leaders have started investing a lot of time and money in it. And they understand that this capability is key for transforming IT, which is key for achieving business outcomes. Now, but how actually would you do it? And how would you implement SRE within your organizational context? This still remains an issue from what we are seeing from actually doing multiple digital transformation, multiple organizations. And I hope as part of the key takeaways from this presentation today, you would be able to understand a little bit more about how do you make it very contextual and implementable for your own organization. So my name is Shivagami Gugan. So I'm a technology transformation leader. I'm operating out of UAE, Dubai. And my experience has been in transforming a lot of organizations out here, smart initiatives in Dubai and in the region. So prior to that, I've been with the Emirates Group for more than 20 years, and I headed a lot of departments there: software engineering, site reliability engineering, led transformation, DevOps transformation programs there. Of late, recently, I actually, as part of the DevOps Institute Ambassador Program, we developed and I led that the creation of the SRE practitioner course, which talks about how do you again relate it to the implementation aspects of site reliability engineering. So I'm very happy to be here, and hopefully this presentation is going to be useful to all of you. So to just distill a little bit down on the digital transformation, because there's so much of text out there, there's so much of information about digital transformation, I would like to look at it from 4 different lenses. And I think primarily from an implementation point of view, if we are able to impact positively in any of these areas, then it means that we are on the right path, right? We are doing the transformation in the right manner, because there's a good amount of money that gets invested here. And it's always good to know if we are on the right path, if we are progressing well, and we are actually achieving what our business outcomes are, right? So the first area to look at, however cliched it might be, is definitely about your customers, to keep this customer-centric approach. And it's always an outside-in approach. It's not an inside-out. It's not about IT transformation. It's actually about what you think would make an impact, positive impact for the end consumer, right? So that they stick onto your business and they stay with you, right? So things like omni-channel, ubiquitous, very frictionless experience that you can give to a customer. The better you do that, the better you are in terms of the transformation journey itself. Now, the second point is to look at your operations. And here is where key things like breaking your silos, DevOps, site reliability engineering, there's so much that we hear about it, but actually changing the operating levers so that you can apply these techniques and technologies in your organization is very key. The third is about transforming your services and products. Here what I mean is actually looking at the product lens from a different point of view. So one is, if you have inherited over a period of years, right, or probably a few decades, then there's a lot of heritage with you. How do you transform your services and your products from your people, process, technology point of view? So for example, across the technology stack, right? If you have monoliths, how do you move them into microservices? How do you get into agile mode of execution so that your lead times are becoming better? How would you actually containerize? And how would you make your infrastructure elastic? All of this is actually transforming your products and services. And last but not the least is actually people. So people make or break projects or your transformation programs. And here we are talking about the change in the way leadership looks at people, the way employees look at themselves, right? So we are talking about having self-regulated, highly motivated, high-performing, autonomous, empowered teams, and things like you build it, you create the software, you run the software. So implementing these in spirit. So these are 4 areas that we have to look at if we are looking at making changes and taking your organization through digital transformation. Now, just distilling it a little bit further, we spoke about customer experience, right? So customer experience is wherever a customer has started his journey, having complete knowledge about that particular end consumer, and ensuring that that particular relationship or that particular journey of the customer is taken through from wherever he connects, right? Be it from a mobile or a device or desktop, or he's talking to your call center, doesn't matter, right? So that omni-channel experience and being a very hyper-personalized, understanding his needs and giving your services, which are not generic, but very, very specific to a customer need, that's very key. Now we'll look at how site reliability engineering will help you on this front, right? The second is, of course, modular thinking. So modular thinking across the stack here, the way you build applications, the way you deploy applications, the way you manage your infrastructure. So the thinking itself is completely about small things, granular, so that you can fail fast, you can you can roll back fast. So the impact, the blast radius is all small. So it's all the entire success mantra is to start thinking small. The third is about be it your own ecosystem or be it an ecosystem that you're going to actually consume. This is all about having a very good API integration economy, which means that you're not going to build everything yourself. Even when you're consuming services from outside, be it SaaS or be it just services, we have to ensure that it is extendable, it is scalable, and we get time to market, because we're not going to build everything from scratch, right? So be it cloud native services, be it services from other providers, having a focus on integration. Because in midterm, what happened was there was so much of focus on centralization of integration. Now with cloud, multi-cloud, hybrid cloud, this is we have to think about decentralizing integration, cloud to cloud, cloud to on-prem, cloud, cloud to another cloud. So these are different ways of how you would address integration itself. And the fourth thing we look at it, this is more having a platform-centric view, so that your engineering capabilities are enhanced in a manner that you have a lot of economies of scale, economies of reusability, and of course, underpinning all of these is operational excellence. And things we spoke about, like site reliability engineering, play a very, very important role in ensuring we achieve our transformation. So I completely agree with Jerry when he says digital transformation is a shift from an organization-centric view, right? Not just an IT-centric view, organization-centric view, to having a very customer-centric view. Yeah, so that's something that we have to keep remembering. So we spoke about this. Now, if it's a bank or a BFSI domain, you see that, if somebody starts a loan application, for example, on smartphone, and all the way down until he actually completes that particular engagement, he needs to be kept in a manner that it is very, very frictionless, so that he sticks to your business, right? And there are so many other opportunities. We're talking about two-sided markets. We're talking about a lot of other things. What will happen even if we are one of the biggest leaders and players in our own domain? It's just a matter of time if we do not take care of the end consumer interest. So the second, we spoke about this API management and how do we have a complete relook at the way we integrate and we build our extended ecosystem. So data, of course, this is a different topic altogether, but people who are able to curate data, use data in a manner that you have not done previously before, using data ops principles, using AI, ML, deep learning algorithms, so that you get more intelligence and you move towards, predictive kind of analytics, the better you are, right? Now, the granular thinking, we spoke about this. So from a monolith application, how do you start, especially if you have a heritage, and we know that, there are certain modules here which are domain driven, but there are these modules that are getting impacted. These are the modules that are getting changed. Then how do you actually convert those into microservices? And then there is this transient stage where you have the microservice and the monolith. How do you really containerize all of them so that you build fault tolerance, you build graceful degradation, auto scaling, and then, container orchestration platforms like Kubernetes. So these are some of the changes that you will have to do when you are actually working on transformation itself, right? And you're talking about site reliability engineering. We'll look at how these things tie together in just a few minutes, right? So all of these will result in agility, scaling, efficiencies, customer happiness. So few key manifestations. So we know you're on the right path, or we are doing things right if these things are happening, right? So first thing is, there's no project life cycle anymore, which is like, you disband the project team and the project team says, yeah, here you go, the support team hold this, and they walk away. No, nothing like that. So there is a product life cycle, and people are staying with the product. When they write the software, they will run the software, they will maintain it. So we move to a product kind of a mindset. And of course, agile, DevOps, and SRE. We spoke about data, we spoke about architecture, changing to a very service-oriented architecture. And again, having this extended integration layer, so which will allow you to integrate internal, external, elastic infrastructure, cloud native services, not that we have to build everything which is available for us. Now cloud is almost becoming an imperative, right? We are not, I mean, it would be foolish on our part to just spend billions of dollars, what these big cloud companies are spending on the security aspects, on the AI data services aspects. I mean, why not consume them, especially the problems or the kind of impediments that we had earlier on when we were thinking about cloud native is all kind of being mitigated. So yeah, containers, and then automation, and then going to a very platform centric approach, right? If we do these things, it means that we are doing things right. And when we say we are doing things right, we will look at how do we also ensure that we are doing things right, the right manner. Yeah. So site reliability engineering, so it's a very interesting topic. And why I say this is such a key capability is it impacts all your areas. It impacts the development side, the deployment side, the observability side, the operational side. It gives you faster feedback. It gives you a lot of good things, right? But it is not these in isolation. So if you ask 5 software engineers or 5 system administrators, 5 of your own staff, what is site reliability engineering? You're going to get 10 different answers, because they're going to talk about so many things. And here the point is that these in isolation, for example, infrastructure as core, or CI/CD automation, or cloud migration, these things in isolation is not site reliability engineering. So site reliability engineering is this very phenomenon where we are talking about establishing a very continuum between dev and the ops side, between the application and its ecosystem, bringing in software engineering aspects into operations, bringing operational aspects into software engineering. So how do we make this happen, right? So SREs are not about renaming your sysadmins as SREs and then saying, yeah, we are now doing SREs. Nor is it about hiring DevOps engineers who are very good in CI, CD, building pipelines, and then just calling them as SRE. Yeah, that is also wrong. So then what is this SRE, right? So site reliability engineering are the people who look at the end goal. The end goal is to make the customer happy. The end goal is, it could be because there are more defects, then you address the MTTR, MTTD aspects to improve the reliability aspects of that service. It could be because it could be that your customer is asking for more speed to market, right? Which means that you're talking about automation, talking about test automation, talking about CI/CD pipelines. It may be that, you know, we have to deploy to multiple geographies. We are looking at risk mitigation. Then we are looking at, you know, probably we're talking about deployment strategies, A/B deployments, canary deployment. So an SRE has to actually focus on what brings joy to the customer, and then shift left or right based on how does it matter for that particular context or for that particular product. I'll give you an example, right? So when I was heading the Emirates group, there were around 40 to 50 SREs, and I mean, you could never compare the SRE who is working on a product A with what he's doing for product B. Of course, there are commonalities, and that's why we talk about platform. And, you know, platform is that umbilical cord which holds all the SREs together. But if a particular product line has its weakness around automation, you would see the SRE sitting with the developers and helping them do the automation aspects. In some other product, if you see that, you know, their weakness is around putting the alerts or building distributed tracing, observability, you'd see that, you know, the focus for that couple of months is for that SRE is on the observability aspects. And of course, you know, you have the other, I mean, SRE is completely well versed for, you know, operational excellence, and sometimes it's just tied to the operations side, right? But my point here is, you will not get operational excellence if you have a very tardy architecture, you know, if you have a very shoddy the deployment process, if you have, you know, it's not going to work if you're not going to shift left. That's why even in Google now, if you see, there's so much of focus on large scale, non-abstract large scale design, right? Where the SREs go through a very rigorous program of actually coming up with system architectures that are scalable, that are resilient, that are fault tolerant. And then the ability to influence, the SRE should have the ability to collaborate and influence the developers, influence the architects, influence the product managers. So automatically what happens is, it makes them, okay, I don't have that slide, but it makes them one of the best collaborators in your journey of digital transformation. It makes them automatically kind of many roles to play. So we can't box them just into operations, because if you do that, you're wasting a lot of your, not just you're wasting a lot of your money and effort, you're also, you're going to risk the outcomes that would come out of the automation, right? So you have to keep him quite fluid, and for some time keep him or her, you know, tied to a product line. So they are the go-to people who understand completely about the product, and they are able to influence changes to the product, be it from architecture side or be it on the operational side. So how do we actually implement this SRE? Yeah? The first thing is to not to do it big bang. Okay, so I've seen this, and I've actually implemented it in several areas. If we talk about 100% SRE, 100%, you don't need it as well. So you have to start small. You have to start with the target areas. You have to identify services. We have to build our approach towards those products, right? So for example, you may have system of records where people are very happy having once a quarter updates. Huh? There's no point in actually working on converting them into microservices. So you have to be very careful where you're actually putting your effort on. And then loosely coupledness, autonomous, self-regulated, empowered teams, breaking the silos, and building these faster feedback loops. So that comes automatically through if you adopt safe, agile methods, you would see that, you know, the ceremonies themselves, for example, show and tell, the PI increment planning sessions, these give you fail safe and fail fast ecosystem, right? So we'll have to implement them in spirit. So show and tell is for the business. This is not a transformation for IT. So getting the business to attend your show and tell, so that, and then slowly when they start believing in what you're doing, you will see a big change in the way the business will collaborate with IT. right? And then automation, I mean, of course, automation is key. Automation first is a first-class citizen. We have to automate everything that is possible. So these are few things that you would have to keep in mind. And of course, cloud adoption. The beauty about cloud adoption is it's going to give you this jump start. This jump start when we build good security around it. We build excellent landing zones, and we give the self-service, but within the guardrails, right? And then it gives you so much of a jump start for the organization. So this is something that I would like to emphasize on. Whichever part of the journey you're in, you are moving towards more and more complexity. Our systems are becoming more and more complex because as we consume services, as we go into more granular distributed services, to have fault tolerance, to have the ability to deploy, to make a lot of deployments in a day, in a week, whatever. We are moving towards this, right? So this is the picture of one of the big organizations, of course, but we may not be here, but we are talking about hundreds of thousands of services, right? At one point of time, when you just open your ecosystem. So there's a very different kind of a mindset that you need. And hence, there's so much of focus on SREs. So SREs are the people who will make this transformation happen, who will ensure that they have this big picture thinking. And when you are building the microservices and you're containerizing them, making sure that the big picture is kept in the mind, and you build you build the entire operational ecosystem around the big picture, right? So in the old world, an incident happens at 3 a.m. in the morning. Of course, you have your pager or somebody waking you up, and then you go and then you fix it, right? This world is different. In this world, the SRE has built so much of self-healing and auto-healing in that particular service. A service will break down. Yesterday, what we saw, Facebook and WhatsApp, whatever resiliency you talk about, is nothing like 100% reliability, right? You can go 99.999%, whatever. So there will be issues, and when these issues come, the ability for the system to auto-heal and to mitigate itself is what we are looking at in the SRE world. So in an SRE world, there will be some logs. So you can come in the next day morning and you can look at the logs and you can make it much more resilient. You can make it much more auto-healing, right? But in the SRE world, the machines work for you, truly. Because prior to the SRE world, even though we talk about reliability engineering, you were working for the machines. Yeah, so that's the main difference. Now, I'm not going to go through this picture, but when we talk about SRE, there's so much of material out there about SLAs, SLO, SLIs, toil budget, error budget. All of these are very, very important, and we should implement these in spirit. So, when we talk about an SLA, what is the businesses, or what is the promise that you're making on that particular service to that business in terms of availability? So based on that, you can actually build much more innovation, because you get error budgets, and with the error budgets, you can do a lot of innovation, right? And then your alerts will be on the SLIs. So all of this, we'll have to get into a lot of details on site reliability engineering, but these are few tenets that you will not compromise when you're implementing site reliability engineering. So just like automation and deployments and SLAs and error budgets, and manual is evil, right? So toil reduction, triaging of incidents, root cause analysis, blameless retrospective. So these are the key tenets of site reliability engineering. Now, the metrics for success, again, we can have as many as we want, but these 4 are very key. One is you have to have an impact on the lead times. You have to have an impact on the deployment frequencies. On the defect side, time to detect, time to restore. change rates should improve. These are a few of the matrices that you can look at to identify if you're going on the right path. Now, so the possible implementation, again, because SREs live in the conflation of system thinking and software engineering, it's always for the SRE to influence the product line between speed and stability, between technical debt and features, to make sure that the system is operationally excellent, as well as it is having the functionality and the features that are aspired by the business, right? So taking care of performance, taking care of the stability aspects, taking care of the cost aspects. So cost is, again, you can spend as much as you want and get the highest level of availability and reliability, but do you really need it? So having this discussion about what exactly is required to meet that particular business need is so important. From a cost point of view. So SREs are very huge collaborators. They are the people who are big influencers. They work in the entire continuum between software design, development, testing, architecture, deployment. So once they are in a product line, they understand the product line and they are able to influence a lot of people around the product to ensure operational excellence. Remember, operational excellence and bringing joy to the customer, to the end consumer, remains the biggest goal for their side, right? Now, I'm not going to go through a lot of these things, but there are lots of consultants out there, lots of frameworks out there. We talk about how do you implement SRE? What are the maturity levels for SRE? What are the maturity levels for site reliability engineering? The 23 factors that you have to measure. All of this is right? So this actually talks about, I mean, the key point here is identify a few services, get a few target areas, benchmark them, no problem. Do not spend a lot of time in just doing this exercise. Move on to implementing, right? Start small, benchmark, but move on. Move on to implementing. When we say move on to implementing, select the targets. Targets can be your system of innovation. So this is Gartner's model. A system of differentiation. You may not want to touch the system of record. The other way is to look at where you have a lot of pain. You can have your crown gel applications, your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 applications, which are the applications where there are lots of defects, and then impact based on service failures is also another area for you to select the SREs. You can look at the time model, which is the technical efficiency or technical obsolescence, technical strength versus the business value, and we can invest more and more into the invest quadrant of our applications, right? And when we talk about eliminate or when we talk about migrate, here is where our technical debt, if technical debt is a priority for you, that and your cloud migration strategy should move hand in hand, because when you migrate, when you eliminate, you could use some of the strategies like re-platforming or refactoring to move to the cloud, right? And cloud automatically gives you a lot of jump start when you are actually moving your legacy out and you're making it cloudable. So again, start with one service, go deep dive into all the things that we have discussed about to make it a resilient service. And how are you going to measure if you're doing good? The 4 key parameters. Have your defects gone down? Has your availability increased? Have the lead times gone down? We are able to deploy code much more quicker than how it was before. So these are the key aspects. And teamwork, the cultural aspects, the collaboration aspects. It's easier for me to talk about it, but I know the kind of difficulties SREs face when they have to talk to the business or talk to the product manager to talk to put their backlog, which comes from either their service improvements or from the technical debt, on par with the features, or sometimes to stop the features and put more for a certain number of sprints, right? Put more focus on the technology side. So it's easier said than done, but if we believe in this and if everybody supports the SRE in making this happen, then I can stand witness to a lot of transformation that has happened in big and small companies where it really works. It really works. So we can have an implementation roadmap. there's a lot of things which I mean, I'm going to share these slides and you can read it. So technology, culture, people, and again, when I say people, you can upskill people, you can bring people new, you can have this blend of people, you can bring SREs from the operational side or from the development side. But only thing that we have to ensure is these people have a very good growth mindset, which means if you bring somebody from the operational side, they are willing to understand application architecture, they are willing to, spend more time on the project side. Similarly, people coming from application side, they have to hold the pager, they have to work on operational automation excellence. So when you do this blend, and if they have the growth mindset, I have seen the SRE is really prospering, right? So this is one slide where I want to spend a couple of minutes, or maybe a minute. So here, so this is a possible implementation. Huh? So you still have the SRE product and platform. I think I have a slide in terms of what do this platform team do, but have them and have the umbilical cord of the SREs to that. But the SREs are actually embedded into the products, and these products are part of a value stream, right? So they will ensure the transformation of that particular product. And when that particular product line really transforms, and you have few good things coming out of there, they keep feeding it to the platform, and the platform team will again circulate it back to the organization, right? And then we have these mindshare sessions, you have brown bag sessions, you have a lot of things. And then there are guardrails provided by the product team and the product, and this is the SRE product team, right? So this whole thing is extremely well, and it works really good. So yeah, these are a few things that you may want to look at. What do they do? These are the complete responsibilities of an SRE. How do they help on their DevOps practices? How do they help in monitoring, observability, SLAs, and all of that, what we spoke about. So they work in the build stage. They ensure that they build dashboards that give irrespective of the technology stack, some kind of a uniformity and understanding to the leadership, to the management, where people are. So, in terms of automation, in terms of technical debt, in terms of code coverage, unit test coverage, all of that, right? So all these, every part of this particular entire deployment process, building canaries, doing, release flags, rollback strategies. So they can just work anywhere they want, and wherever there is a need, they should be able to influence and work. So the next is the run stage, building the observability, especially when there's so much transience, especially when there is so much of changes in the topology, elastic infrastructure. How do you build? How do you bake it into the code? How do you shift left? How do you build SLAs? So in one of the organizations where we went, we removed 40% of the alerts, and the system became, we improved the 4 matrices that we spoke about. So it is not about putting the alerts everywhere, right? It's about putting the alerts in an intelligent manner. How do you draw the system boundaries? And you link the alerts to the SLI, and the SLI leads to the SLO, and SLO leads to the SLA. So these are sacrosanct. These are painful to implement, but once you implement them, it will run like a child, right? It is so important that we get these things right. And that's why you need to work with people who understand these concepts and who implement these concepts. Observability-driven development, like test-driven development. Observability-driven development means you bake the breadcrumbs so that whenever there is an incident happens, we are able to trace it right up to what was the cause of the incident in a very useful manner, not going through loads and loads of log sheets, going through sheets and sheets of paper, not like that. It's just to get into the details in a very super speed manner, right? So platform engineering, I spoke about what are the things. Their goal is to provide self-service. Their goal is not to actually keep things so that people come back to the platform all the time. It is to give self-service to the developers, to give self-service to the SREs, right? They build things like a lot of things. So there's secret management, if it's required for the organization, cloud landing zones, if they have to build the Kubernetes orchestration framework itself, run books and playbooks for SMEs, bringing in tools and technologies that are at an organizational standard. So doing your networking, moving away from SDNs to zero trust. So all of these things are a part of it. And a couple of things, AI ops and chaos engineering, these are not advanced topics. I look at them as very topics that can be institutionalized right at the beginning of the SRE journey. So the point is, when we look at automation of everything, then there are so many ways that we can automate on the operational side. So, reducing first call resolution, auto remediation, looking at opportunities that will help us detect early through anomaly detection. So these things can be done in parallel, and they can be done as we talk about improving the operational excellence. So AI ops is actually moving from a very traditional model to even predictive and prescriptive model, but there is no, you need not think that, it's a very advanced topic and let's do SRE and then do AI ops. Yeah, similarly, chaos engineering, it's about disaster recovery. It's about experimenting so that we know that we are ready whenever there is a disaster that happens. So this, again, tools like Gremlin, they are fantastic tools. They give you a complete, very user-friendly manner to scotch your CPU, to increase the load, to introduce network packet loss. Beautiful. These tools are extremely helpful for you to build disaster recovery. Now, just a very small topic. So, in ITSM world, it's all verticals, right? ITL gave us a lot of very great fundamentals. So SLA, SLO, OLC, these all came from ITSM. The difference is when we talk about change board, cabs, etc. We used to think about the cab people, 4 or 5 or 6 people, having the knowledge of the 500 odd applications that are there in the ecosystem, right? Which is very difficult. They finally become check masters. They become like checklists and all of that. But in the DevOps and SRE world, we're talking about the team being completely autonomous. They are the people. So there are like these mini cabs within the product line, and they know. So whenever a change is happening, there is also on the other side, we are building fault tolerance. We are building rollback capabilities. We are making it granular, so the blast radius is less. And they are the people who are going to hold the pager. So there is this fundamental shift in the way of thinking that there will be some advisory board sitting somewhere who will control things to you control your own fate, right? To your own future. So this is again a very fundamental change. Okay, so yeah, so some of the points here, I will share the slides in terms of the SRE execution itself, and be it at an application level, be it at a system deployment level, or be it at an enterprise level, we're talking about the platform, the center of excellence. We have to understand that an SRE cannot be boxed into either this or that, or this, or operations. The more you allow the SREs to actually spread about and have this overall picture and the overall business goal, the better for you. The better for you, because if you put the right kind of mindset people, good people who have the growth mindset, you will see magic happening, and you will see that the overall operational excellence for your product line improves. And then from one product line to multiple products, and from multiple products to your entire organizational ecosystem. So that's all I had to tell you about. I hope it was useful. I'm happy to take any questions, and thanks for being here. And I wish you the best of the rest of the conference. Have a great day. Thank you.